good evening. Thank you for coming. So, thank you for joining us tonight as we highlight the very complex and purposeful brain or the teenage brain, that is. My job and passion is to advocate for the young people in our society. They're full of potential, radiant to be around, and a pure pleasure to work with. Here at the Rec Room, we're always happy to have the opportunity to promote this youth resource and enrichment co-op. So I'm going to take a moment to do that. First, I'm going to do some housekeeping. We have the restroom right there. Please get up, move about if you need to, of course. Food is from Kathy Kaiser and the Fresh Sourdough Express. Pretty excited to have that. And the punch, which Dylan's helping himself to. And feel free, again, to get up. And we don't want leftovers, so please go through them throughout the night. If you could, please put your cell phones on silent. And that's because we are lucky enough to have the skills and time of Jacob Mayforth. He's filming this tonight. Woo! Thanks, Jacob. And we are filming it because this is all material from Dr. Linda Chamberlain, and she's not here tonight, although some of you, I believe, thought that. But she's very confident that our FAT team has with our collaborators, has the capability to share her material with you. And Haley will tell you about the conference we attended, and you'll understand it all. Also, I know this is going to be difficult because this is a really engaging topic, but please save questions for the very end. It's just going to be like an hour we're going to talk, and then we really like questions, so if you have them, please keep them in the back of your mind. Actually, in front of your mind, where you're thinking. Toolkits right here for you to take home. This is Linda's exact words. We just recreated it thanks to Trevor and the team. Those are for you to take, share with other adults in your life. They're there to help you communicate effectively with teenagers. So, many years ago, Ketchimek Bay Family Planning Clinic, which this rec room is a project of, they saw the need to open a space for teenagers which would facilitate healthy relationships, health education, and healthy choices for Homer youth. And so, 2 years after opening our doors, we're well on our way to doing that. So the National Conference for State Legislatures designed the Positive Youth Development Framework to outline the supports that young people need in order to be successful while meeting the challenges that they face during adolescence and into adulthood. This framework focuses on young people's assets, such as strengths, capacities, and developmental needs, rather than their deficits, risks, negative behaviors, and issues. So Positive Youth Development strives to help young people develop their inner resources and skills that they need to cope with pressures that might lead to unhealthy or antisocial behaviors. It aims to promote and prevent, not to treat or remediate. It was within this framework which our state of Alaska engages that we created this rec room space for teenagers. So it's open Monday through Friday, 3 to 6, for 12 to 18-year-olds. There's no sign-in policy or procedure. We do have really good policy and procedure, but there's no sign-in. You just kind of, they come in, it's free-flowing. We always advise them to let adults know, somebody in their life, this is where they're going to be, when they're going to leave, where they're going to go. And it's worked really well so far. We offer many varying resources and services and activities, and so far, thanks to all the great funders and grants, they're all free to youth, and they're all voluntary for youth. So I'm going to go through a few of the bullet points which the Positive Youth Development Framework points out and address how the rec room was set up behind them. So the physical and psychological safety factor. Physically, we are a really short walk from Homer High School, even though many teenagers think it's too far. It's a really short little jog. Homer Middle School, we have bus accommodations that are easily available to set up. And we reach out consistently to the large population of homeschoolers. Psychological safety is present to youth by the many posters and just flyers that we have hanging around, which promote and state that this is a safe environment which welcomes all youth. We respect the differences of all human beings here, and one youth-led group that clearly expressed that, which isn't here now but we hope to have again in the future, was the Gay Straight Alliance, and that was led by youth and accompanied with youth. And so we have many different programs that promote respecting differences. So we open up the opportunity to welcome youth to verbally engage a supportive staff member who have experience and can make referrals around the community to youth services. So that's the main idea, is that we have resources in our community which we might know about as adults, and they're there and they want to engage teenagers, but the teenagers walking around might not know how to get to them. So the rec room is a place where they can come and we make those referrals to the different spots, which has been identified, especially recently, that that's a need in Homer. So here we are. Appropriate structure. So 2 years ago, this was designed by Brett Glidden, who was then a family planning clinic staff, and a team of teenagers. And they created this space. They chose the colors and according to what teenagers would want. They made a nice cozy atmosphere in the winter and a nice bright spot in the summer. Supportive relationships. You'll meet Doug soon. He's a staff member here. Cody you'll also meet soon, and myself. There's always one of us three present whenever the rec room's open. And we all have experience working with teens now for many years. And so it's a good positive peer-to-adult and as well as peer-to-peer interactions. Support for efficacy and mattering. We always promote teenagers to be self-reliant, self-confident young adults who can become responsible members of society. Make youth feel welcome and that they belong here and provide ownership to this space. That's what we're always trying to do. We always say, if there's a group that they want to start, this is a place they can do it. We strive to keep the lights on, keep it warm, keep it going, keep it engaged, but we want teens to make this space their own. So for positive social norms, we reinforce effective, positive, and nonviolent communication, respect on all levels, and making healthy choices which resonate throughout the youth community. Integration of family, school, and community efforts. We have this What's Happening for Youth calendar. This was created with a seniors nonprofit volunteer hours to graduate. So she created that, and then we worked also last summer with 6 other nonprofits in the community to create the summer youth calendar, which we had on our rec room website. And so we will probably do that again next summer, just to let parents and guardians know that this is everything going on for teens, because there's a lot going on in Homer. So the last two, which we are really big into, are the opportunities for skill building and the opportunities to belong. So we have many programs that happen here out of the rec room. Excuse me. And I'm going to invite the FAT team up and introduce them so they can help me tell you about those. So you got Dylan Wild, FAT peer educator, Sierra Mosquios, Haley Hughes, Zoe Story, and Trevor Waldorf. So presently, these are our FAT peer educators. This is a position that will rotate throughout the 3 years that this grant is here. And we've had one, Kate Kearns, who graduated from Flex, and she was an excellent peer educator, and now she is working down in Kodiak. So I'm going to talk about the People's Garden Grant, which we received from Homer Soil and Water Conservation District. We have 5 raised beds that we created. Teenagers, we give them power tools and hand tools. And we had a lot of seeds and plants donated, and we nurture those throughout the summer. It was pretty good, minus a moose attack. And that actually, though, was our least attended program. It was pretty tough to get teenagers to be involved with gardening. So we're really looking for ways, this is a 5-year grant, to get them more teens here. We had awesome adult volunteers, so that wasn't an issue, but it's a great place to bump elbows with adults and meet different people in the community. So the Fork Club, we have one coming up this Tuesday, next Tuesday. It is a cooking and baking class funded by the Homer Foundation. This unites local chefs and teenagers. Often we do it upstairs here in our outreach kitchen, but we're going to do it Tuesday at the Fresh Sourdough Express with Kathy Kaiser, who brought this food tonight. We've done it in the past with Terry Roble, Michael Sullivan, Aaron Knoll. Zoe, want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's a really, it's just an awesome experience for a lot of teens to get together that might not normally hang out or know each other. And so you get to meet a ton of new people. And then we make a whole meal, and then we set the table, and we all have dinner together. So it's a really awesome social aspect as well as learning how to cook new food. So I really enjoyed it, and I'm doing this next one too. So it's really cool.
And that's always sign up as the classes form. So it's typically different teenagers each time. There's a few repeat now, but I think we're almost signed up completely for Tuesday too. But on the 18th, we also have a Christmas dinner we're going to create upstairs. So that'll be a whole new, different sign up. Okay, so Youth on Record Alaska. I'm going to invite Cody Davidson up to talk a little bit about that, please. Cody. Woo!
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. I'm Cody Davidson. I started and operate a nonprofit called Youth on Record. Originally, I had started this in residential treatment facilities in Denver. Just recently, I brought it here. It's open to everybody. I'm working towards getting my own 501c3 right now. I'm physically sponsored by the Haven House, and heavily supported by the rec room and the people around us. So what Youth on Record is it's digital music production classes. I myself am the producer. I've been a musician my whole life. Currently I'm making a lot of dubstep music and electronic music and hip-hop music, mostly dubstep these days. And what we do is we use industry standard equipment and procedures and whatnot to make music and then get it out there and make your own album. Some of the things I'm hoping to accomplish with Youth on Record here in Homer is, and have started kind of accomplishing, but to create kind of a subculture for the youth here. Something that will always be there for them. I'd like to turn youth back into teachers. Also, there's positive peer interaction, and yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. So it's every day, every Friday at 3:30, and yeah, that's it. So I'm trying to think if I missed anything, but.
And that's our most well-attended program at the Rec Room. All right, and then we have the FAT program. That's Promoting Health Among Teens, PHAT. It is a grant through the state of Alaska, the Division of Division of Health and Social Services, Women, Children, and Family Health. It's a 3-year grant. We're in the beginning stage of our 2nd year. Dylan's going to talk to you a little bit more about his job and about
Right, okay. I have an awesome job. We teach health class, like Hannah just said, and there's like 3 different aspects of it. It's abstinence training, and like refusal skills, and then condom use, if, in case your abstinence method fails, and then it's not funny, it's serious. And then healthy relationships, which we use a lot of role plays to put teenagers like in the situation where they're gonna have to like say I'm gonna use a condom or like things like that. And so I don't know, it's really cool.
Yeah, and we get to travel a lot and like teach, and we're actually about to start teaching over at Flex again next week too.
tomorrow, actually. That's our 2nd time at Flex, and also we've taught FAT program slightly in Nanwalek. We hope to go back there again. Port Graham we've been to. Ninilchik we're striving to connect with, Seward possibly, and the center, different organizations around the community. And the Rec Room here, being a nonprofit, we're able to host one too, so we really hope to reach high school students through that. All right, thanks guys. So I'm going to introduce now Doug, the last member of our FAT program, very important member, Doug Kessler.
Hey guys, it's good to see all your smiling faces, especially this little one right here. He can make all the noise he wants. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys coming and being here now for this, because I think you're gonna really enjoy it. There's a lot of fun, dynamic things that goes on up here. You're gonna see soon. So why is this information really important? We're hoping that it's not only going to help you in your just day-to-day experiences working with teens or being with teens, it's going to help you to possibly reflect on your own adolescence. Because, well, since I started working with teens, I've really been trying to remember my high school years and like what it was like. But something strange happens when you do that, because I can remember them, but I don't remember exactly how I felt or like what my thoughts were. And that is because how much the brain changes when we go from adolescents to adults. The very structure of the brain actually changes, so we perceive the world completely differently. So when you go back and try to remember what it was like to be a teen, it's actually really difficult. So, with this information, that's why it's so very important. You can start to understand again, even though you went through it, you kind of forgot about it, you're going to understand again what it is really like to be a teen. And so hopefully that will allow you to work more effectively with teens or communicate more effectively with teens and quite possibly be more compassionate towards teens, because it's a pretty intense state to be in. So, first, I wanted to introduce Jeanette Latimer and Bonnie Bentley. They are amazing health professionals in our town and around our community. And they also went to this event called Train to Trainers, which Linda Chamberlain sponsored us to go up to. And they came with us on that. And Zoe's going to come up and talk to you about what Train to Trainers was all about. All right, thanks.
Hi guys. So we, these lovely ladies, and Dylan and Doug and Anna and I were able to travel out to Anchorage in last March and attend this conference/training in Anchorage that Linda put on. And so she made it like a 2-day event. And the first day, she extensively talked about the adolescent brain and brain development and how it's different from an adult brain. And then the second day, lots of different trainers were able to present how they work with teens. And Dylan and I were lucky enough to be able to present their teams. That was really cool. And so the whole goal of the conference was that we could learn all this new information about the brain and then come back to our communities and spread all this information out. So that's what tonight is for. So everything that we're going to be talking about and in this handout is all from Dr. Linda Chamberlain, who, by the way, is so awesome. She's one of our very own. She's from Homer, and so she's pretty cool. And she really wanted to be here tonight, but she is out of the state being awesome and having other conferences. So I hope you guys enjoy.
Okay, so we've learned from Dr. Chamberlain that PowerPoints aren't the most effective way for people to learn or stay interested in what you're talking about. So we do have, well, actually it's not on right now, but we have a PowerPoint that's going to be backing us up today. But what we've done is we've created a whole bunch of skits, and we also have a few role plays from our curriculum that we're going to use. And there are a lot of realistic situations or scenarios that a teen might be in. So yeah, and here's our first skit.
Alright, are we going tonight?
Kayleen's house?
Oh,
Party?
dude, I haven't been there forever. Who's gonna be there? Who's gonna be
Yep.
there?
Why did you just touch me? I don't even know you. It's weird.
Rejected. Okay. So, social rejection is something that goes back a long, long way with us humans, and it actually didn't start back then, but basically it got formalized way back on the sand-blasted streets of Mesopotamia, and they developed a process that we now call ostracization, and that comes from the Greek word of ostraka, or ostraka, I'm not Greek, so. And that means pottery, and what they would do is they would break up a clay pot, and then if they wanted to outcast someone from their society because they weren't contributing, they would cast shards of the pot in the middle of a circle. And if they got voted out, they would banish this member from society, and they would usually die, or if they were lucky, find another tribe that they could contribute to. And this is why it's hardwired into our psyches that social rejection ultimately could lead to deaths. So in teens especially, when the brain is still developing, those instincts are very, very raw, and it hits them very, very hard. It's us, rather. And what this creates is a desire to belong above most other things, and that's why teens strive for acceptance among their peers so much. It's so important because to us, it's a matter of life or death in our brains. Oh man, is that Rick's car?
Oh,
Dude, that totally
yeah,
is
it
Rick.
is.
Oh, dude, Asim. come
No,
on.
guys.
Wait.
Guys, no wait. It's
You're
like
going
high speed. No.
So researchers have learned that the adolescent brain is far from completed. Many of the most important finishing touches in brain development occur during the second decade of life. Adolescence is a window of opportunity for developing a better, smarter, faster brain. It is the time when the brain becomes more efficient and develops more advanced skills. The brain develops from the bottom up, like a stack of building blocks. Actually, from the back towards the front again. So the lower building blocks, the brainstem and the midbrain, are the first to develop, And these are the survival modes of the teenage brain as well as the adult brain. This is what regulates the basic modes of the body. So blood pressure, heart rate, hunger, things like that. The upper building blocks, the limbic system and the cerebral cortex, are referred to as the intellectual or thinking brain. The limbic system is the emotional core of the brain. The cortex forms an outer covering around the brain that accounts for 85% of human brain mass. This section of the brain, the cortex, is where reason, logic, and rational thinking originate. It's where reading, writing, and arithmetic are located. It's the part of the brain also that thinks, is this a good idea? Are these the choices I probably should be making? Am I going to regret this? So during adolescence, the cortex goes through a major period of growth and change that helps adolescents transition into adulthood. Research has shown that this is the last phase of the brain to develop. In fact, in males, it isn't fully developed until they reach the age of 21 to 26. However, it isn't that the young brains do not have a frontal lobe, it's just that it's not connected yet. It's a more sluggish connection. So that's because the nerve cells that connect the teenage frontal lobes with the rest of their brains are slower, and they're lacking myelin, the white matter.
So, in other words, the frontal cortex is not online yet. And at first glance, this seems like really super bad news. If we need these areas to survive our complex teen years that are happening right now, why doesn't it work as well when the challenges are most daunting and prevalent? The answer is, what is lost in the frontal lobe usability is gained in total brain flexibility. It's this flexibility that has allowed humans to flourish in so many different situations. It has allowed us to learn about our environment and change our brains to work within that environment. It can seem a bit crazy that we humans don't wise up a bit earlier in life, but if we'd smartened up sooner, we'd probably end up dumber and weaker.
Wow. Holy smoke, dude.
Oh my gosh, this is crazy. Oh my gosh!
Oh, jeez.
Whoa!
We almost just hit a moose.
That was awesome.
Oh my gosh, you guys, that was so scary.
Oh, wait, oh my
Dylan,
God.
Dylan,
Oh my
Dylan,
gosh.
I'm serious. That was scary.
Okay, so teens often use the word drama to describe how their lives are feeling. And that's often because they're reacting to everything with their limbic system. Often this can make working with teens kind of challenging because we can be moody sometimes. But, however, the right approach to teenage interactions can lead to enthusiastic participation and inspirational progression. And Dylan's going to talk a little bit more about this.
Indeed. Let's see. Teens carry around urge to experience. They're naturally adventure-seeking, which is an attribute that has enabled humans to gain wisdom from experience throughout the lifespan. In addition to that, they sometimes overlook the dangers of their potential misjudgments. Most of teenage spontaneity is a result of a decision made by a different part of the brain than adults would use. So teenagers are processing it with their amygdala, the emotional center of their brain, instead of with their cortex, which is the part of the brain that controls like reasoning and good judgment. So like there's all kinds of things that like would affect the teenager's decision, like when they're in the spur of the moment and they're like excited or they want to like get more popular or something, social status, friendship, fun, adrenaline, pride, all these things can like distract the teenager from the potential dangers. And although sensation seeking can lead to dangerous behaviors, it can also result in a powerful, outgoing personality. Teenagers can energize social situations with their passion, have incredible contributions because of their mindsets. And that was an awkward transition. It is this same mindset that empowers us to create awesome social lives and unique groups of friends, which generally makes us healthier, happier, safer, more successful.
Hello?
Hey, are you guys still coming to pick me up?
Oh, yeah. We're gonna be there in like 5 minutes or kind of around where you are.
Okay.
Alright, okay, bye. So we need to go pick up Bailey.
We're picking up Haley now?
Yeah. Do you know where she lives?
Yeah, I know where she lives, kind of. I mean, I've been there once or twice, but yeah, I know where she lives.
Okay, yeah, because like I've been there a million times and I have like no clue where she lives. I don't even know the road name.
Whatever.
I just know it's by like Pink Building.
Okay, and we're here.
Okay,
And
cool.
stuff.
Oh my gosh, guys, is your adrenaline running? Cause mine is. That experience on the road, that moose, that was pretty crazy. Like I'm freaking out still, freaking out.
Yeah, well, I don't want to hear about it, so you can sit in the back.
Wow.
Hey guys, what's up?
Oh my God, Haley, we almost just died on our way over to come get you.
Wasn't that bad?
Yeah, it was. Like, it was scary. There was a moose on the road when we passed the Nick, and it was like icy, and I was freaking out.
Oh my gosh, you guys were daughters.
I know.
This is actually why she's sitting in the back.
Okay, believe me, it was not that bad. Fine. Now, the male and the female brains are not the same. Gender differences in the hormones both influence how our brains develop. Recognizing some of the differences between the male and female brain can help us understand why teenage males and females often have different learning styles and behavioral patterns. The cortex is composed of gray matter and white matter. Now, gray matter is densely packed with cell bodies. White matter consists of myelinated axons that form the connection between brain cells.
Okay, this is my part. The female brain has a higher portion of gray matter, while the male brain has a higher portion of white matter. Having more gray matter may explain why young women are usually more efficient in processing information, often stronger verbal skills, and usually excel at juggling several activities. Having more white matter appears to help the male brain transfer information throughout the brain. This can enhance young men's spatial skills, such as navigation and solving math problems. A person whose brain thinks spatially often needs more space when learning. So many males may spread out their work assignments while their female classmates may not.
All right, there's a couple different structures in the male and female brains that grow differently between the two. The hippocampus is one of these, and what the hippocampus does is it helps to transfer new information to long-term memory. The hippocampus is sensitive to the female hormone estrogen and grows a lot faster in young women. Scientists think that a large hippocampus might explain females' strong social skills and their ability to excel at sizing up social situations, as well as being emotionally supportive and coordinating complex relationships. The amygdala and the hypothalamus are sensitive to the male sex hormones and grow larger in young men generally.
Both of these structures are involved in the body's response to fear and danger. Enjoying contact sports, having increased sexual desire, and being more aggressive are behaviors that make sense with the male growth spurt in the amygdala and the hypothalamus. A busier, bigger amygdala may also explain why boys and young men need to move around more and while learning, and to girls and young women who tend to have a longer attention span that allows them to sit still and focus on one subject for longer periods of time.
So, in addition to these basic differences, male and female brains both mature at a different pace. Female brain matures a little bit sooner than the male brain. So it's up to you guys to evaluate where each teen is neurodevelopmentally, as opposed to assessments based solely on chronological age or grade level.
And good luck.
And good luck with that. Dude, so we had like a huge quiz in first period today. Why weren't you there?
Funny story, actually. Well, I guess it's not funny. I fell asleep in the parking lot.
Were you just like right there?
Yeah, like with my textbooks on my lap and like my foot on the brake and my car in drive. It was bad. I don't know.
Oh my god.
Okay. So it's pretty obvious that teens need more sleep than adults do. So what do you guys think that the point of sleep is?
To regenerate your brain. Are you saying?
Yeah. Anyone else?
Brain maturation.
Yes. Exactly, and all of those answers are right too. So, what happens when you don't get much sleep?
You are crabby.
Yes. Can't think straight. Yeah. So those are all also right, and also ADHD gets worse in with teenagers, and also more symptoms will show usually. So why do we care about getting enough sleep then?
your immune system stronger, get more sleep. Function. So you can function.
So, those are all right. Better grades, less depression, less injuries, less trips to the school nurse, and better decision making.
So that means you have to get more sleep. So when you want to get up in the morning and the alarm clock rings at 6 o'clock, how easy is it to get up in the morning? If you're a morning person, it's easy. Teenagers are not morning people, period. The problem of little sleep hits teens mostly in the morning, and first period, middle and high school teachers know that. They see drooling zombies in their rooms, just kind of like that. That's due to teens not filling their tank of sleep up at night. It's sleep debt, that is an official phrase. You don't get the full 9 hours of sleep that they need. Sleep deprivation influences adolescents' emotional regulation and behavior. Many researchers notice that sleep-deprived teenagers appear to be especially vulnerable to psychopathology such as depression and ADHD, and have difficulty controlling their emotions and impulses. So Patrick, when neither of us get much sleep, do we fight more?
Yes.
Yes. So circadian rhythms are the 24-hour internal clocks that influence our body temperature, sleep cycles, appetite, and hormonal changes. Before adolescence, these circadian rhythms direct most kids to naturally fall asleep around 8 or 9 p.m. Puberty changes a teen's internal clock. They start falling asleep around 11 o'clock or so. And then they get on the phone with somebody, or they start to, they don't get on the phone anymore. They text, or they're on the computer, or they watch a movie. They stay up even later. There's studies that show that kids who got 25 to 40 minutes more of sleep a night got better grades compared to kids who didn't. That does make a difference, that extra sleep. And in Kentucky, they did a comparison of car crashes in Fayette County, and they found out that when they started high school an hour later, 7:30 to 8:30, the crash rate for 16 to 18-year-olds dropped, while the accident rates in the rest of the state rose for that same grade level. So an hour makes a big difference of sleep.
Hey, dude, that's Brick.
Oh my gosh, you
You
guys,
must have passed us when we were picking up
even
Bailey.
think about it.
Guys, let's not pass that. No.
Like,
Wait, why not? I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna pass. I'm gonna take the shortcut.
That's a good idea.
no,
Wait,
no,
wait,
seriously,
Patrick.
Dylan, you're like my boyfriend, and I'm your girlfriend, and you're supposed to care about my sleep, my emotions, my opinions. They're supposed to matter to you.
Yeah, but we're gonna take the shortcut.
Okay, so puberty and changes in a teen's brain motivate us to seek more exciting new adventures or experiences. And this is actually important for the development of our brain, but it also can lead to highly dangerous and risky situations. So, as teens, we actually perceive risks differently than all of you guys do, because we're more enticed by the challenge and not what the outcome's going to be. So we're kind of living in the moment and not worrying about what's going to happen afterwards. So, because the areas of our brain which evaluate risks and the consequences of the risks are not fully developed, we generally display a tendency to take greater risks than adults do, especially when we're with our friends or other teenagers. So.
Yeah, and like a really cool example of this is there was one researcher that did a really cool experiment using a video game simulation, which required the player to drive through a city. In the city, there were some stoplights which were frequently changing from yellow to red, and the teens had a choice of either going through the yellow light, making it, or taking that risk of maybe hitting a red light. And they could, go faster and get more points, or they could, make their decisions point system. And on their own, teens reacted similarly to how adults did. They would successfully stop or make it through a yellow light. But the interesting thing was, when other teens were watching them, they tended to take more risks and go through more red lights.
So the chemical changes that are going down in our brains right about now is, this contributes to our risk-taking fetish. So, for example, serotonin, which is a chemical messenger in the brain, has a calming effect and it controls impulses. And often serotonin levels fluctuate, which make teens seem crazy excited a lot of the time. So, and then on the other hand, dopamine, which is like a feel-good chemical in the brain, when we take risks, the dopamine level will elevate. So, because since it feels so good, it can lead to more risky situations. So, helping teens take positive risks is very, very important because we need to be challenged. So, sports, outdoor adventures, performing on stage, stuff like that. Those are a few examples of positive risks that we should be encouraged to take by all of you guys.
Making what part? People are at the party.
Dude,
This
okay.
is awesome.
I gotta call Steve about some fireworks. That'd be crazy. This is gonna be
Dude,
awesome.
this is gonna be so much awesome. I don't know how I'm gonna drive my car though.
I'm gonna get some drinks.
Dude, I'm so thirsty. Let's go get some drinks.
Dude, like, are they smoking pot over there?
Oh my
smells
god.
like it.
Ring, ring.
Oh, sorry, your mom is calling me.
Hello?
Hi, sweetie, it's Mommy. What are you doing?
Hi, Mom. I'm at Sierra's house.
Oh, you're at Sierra's? Well, are you coming home? I put the snuggle sign out.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna spend the night, actually.
You're gonna spend the night? Alright, well, are Sierra's parents home? I'd love to talk to them.
Mom, it's 7:30. They're sleeping.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, there aren't drugs or alcohol at Sierra's, are there?
Okay, so I have two options right now. I could say yes and be honest with my mom and potentially not lose all of her trust by being truthful, but I would also have to leave and I might be having a really awesome time. Or I could say no and feel really guilty and also maybe lose all of my mom's trust if she finds out later. So these are situations that teens often face when we're put in a position to be honest with someone that we're really close to.
Okay, this is a pretty common situation probably, you know. I mean, a teenager is probably not gonna tell their mom if there's drugs and alcohol there, if they're gonna get in trouble. So, I mean, that's counterproductive. So like, the question could be raised, how do we educate our youth on the dangers of something that we refuse to constructively accept?
So about 1/4 of high school students are considered binge drinkers. That means that they consume more than 5 drinks in a row within a given hour. Alcohol is one of the many addictive substances that our youth gain access to as they enter their teenage years. This presents a big problem as teens are more prone to addiction than adults are.
This also presents a problem of communication, again, because as much as adults want teens not to drink, and as bad as adults say that drinking is, and I mean, the choice is eventually down to the teen. So, if openly discussing like the less than perfect aspects of the teenage experience is the first step on educating them on moderation, why do we overlook it or frown upon it in most cases? How does one make a personal connection if the teenager hides their personality from them out of fear of punishment or judgment? And how do we get them to teach themselves if we can't even connect with them on a personal level? In clarification, we don't condone teen drinking, we don't encourage teen drinking, none of that. We are simply here to provide you with the tools to effectively educate the teens in your life how to make the safest choices for their health.
So one tool that might be useful is to let teens know that they're much more likely to black out than to pass out if they're binge drinking and heavy drinking. This means that they're more likely to be conscious and making decisions, but are fully unaware and will have no memory of those decisions. During blackouts, they're making choices to perhaps drink, drive, and use other drugs. And there's going to be negative consequences that go along with that, chances are. And since they're going to have no memory of that, they're going to feel those consequences even heavier.
Right, okay. One of the ways to kind of try and avoid those consequences, talk to your teen about, well, I mean, like you want to talk to your teen about the buddy system and about, like, I guess, about these subjects, but like you don't want to like badger them or like tell them how bad it is, because they might get like defensive or like, I don't know, there's some weird reverse psychology thing that goes on there. But what does help when you're talking to a teenager is like inspiring them to like look after their friends, or like be with a group of friends that's gonna look after them. You wanna talk to them about the buddy system. Also, on a side note, alcohol has a sedative effect on the body that teens are more likely to naturally overpower, which is part of the reason for them blacking out instead of passing out. And this is potentially dangerous because it means that the teens might continue to drink even though their body isn't capable of ingesting anymore.
Young people who drink have more long-term memory impairment. They also have more trouble learning compared to teens who do not drink. This is because the hippocampus, which has an important role in forming memories, is smaller in adolescents who are heavy drinkers compared to teens who do not drink.
And alcohol isn't the only substance that's going to damage your brain. There's all kinds of substances out there. I mean, drugs like ecstasy and meth can cause mental problems with impulse control and depression. Nicotine and tobacco also causes chemical imbalances, problems with brain connections, and that's no good. That's no good.
So again, teenagers are more prone to addiction than adults are. The younger teens are when they start using addictive substances, the more likely they are to become addicted. Preventing or delaying a teen's exposure to addictive substances such as alcohol, tobacco, and drugs, and that includes prescription drugs, is a win-win situation. Alright, so now we're going to watch a section of the performance covering a fat specialty, which is healthy relationships. This entails healthy communication among all of the people in teens' lives, healthy sexual development, and intimate partner violence. So Sierra and Haley are going to step away from the party and car scene, and you'll be able to follow along.
Hey, Mom!
Where have you been? It's 20 minutes after your curfew.
Yeah, I know, but like, I was on movie night, so.
You could have at least called me to tell me that you were going to be late.
Yeah, I know, I'm really sorry, but like, my phone died and I didn't really like care about calling you.
You were with 4 other people. You could have at least used someone else's phone to call me.
Yeah, that's like not my main concern.
Okay, give me your keys.
What? No!
That didn't go so well. Talk about communication. So Sierra, how would you like to have done that and gotten more out of your mom instead of getting in trouble?
Okay, so being a teenager, I would probably want my mom to like understand where I'm coming from. Ran into some trials on my way home, that's why I was late. Roads were icy when I'm driving home from my friend's movie night. I stopped and get me some gas because it was on empty. My phone was dead, so I couldn't call her. You know, I just wanted to like, understand and put herself in my situation, understand I wasn't like deliberately trying to be home 20 minutes late. I also wanted to understand like threatening me all the time with like groundation and keys maybe, taking away someone's car is not always the answer.
And Haley, as the mom, what would you like out of that conversation as the mom?
So as a mom, I would probably, I'd want her to understand that my main concern is for her safety, and when she's coming home late, I don't really know where she is, and that makes me worried. And also, I would probably want her to be open with me and know that she can talk to me about anything, so we have an honest relationship.
Okay. So do a time warp. Do it again.
Hey, Mom. You're 20 minutes late.
Oh, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. Like, I did not plan on being home 20 minutes late. I was leaving my friend's house from that movie night and realized it was right at 11, and I was like, oh, I have to be home soon, and the roads were really icy, so I drove pretty slow. Then I had to pull on to Poop Deck Straight and get me some gas because I was on empty. And then, my phone was dead, so I couldn't call you and, let you know that I was going to be home late. So I'm really sorry about that.
Okay, well, next time you have to try a little harder to give me a heads up so I'm not worried. But next time there is going to be consequences.
Yeah, Mom, I totally understand.
Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about sexual development because it's such an important factor for teens, and we talk a lot about it in our curriculum. So, interesting fact that most teens, or half of teens, have had sex by the time they're 17 and a half years old. And most of teens have had sexual relations or romantic relationships by the time they're 20. Hormones and changes in the adolescent brain affect teens' health. So it's important to make sure that teens have someone they can talk to, if not their parent or guardian, about this and ask questions. We feel that sexual health is just as important as nutrition or exercise. So, we advocate education about our bodies, our health, and our decisions. That's why in our curriculum there's 12 modules, and 4 of them are all about condom use and safer sex, and then 4 of them are about abstinence if you don't want to have sex, and then the other 4 are about healthy relationships, which is pretty much everything. So, yeah.
Dude, this part is so awesome.
Dude, okay, I just got off the phone with Steve. It's like spitting fireworks.
Oh! Boom. Okay, alright. Speaking of fireworks, do you have any condoms?
What?
Dude, it's a simple question. It's a simple yes or no question.
Alright, well, how about you just explain a little bit where you're going with this?
Well, you're planning on hooking up.
Where are you
tonight,
going?
right?
Where are you
Your
going?
girlfriend's here and stuff.
Where are you going with this, buddy?
I mean, where am I going with this, dude? Don't you use condoms when you have sex?
Okay, there's this thing called birth control. It's like scientific and it works.
Dude, there's this thing called sexually transmitted diseases.
What are you saying?
Condoms protect you from that. And I remember this class that we took with these awesome. You remember that
You were
class?
so
That?
knowledgeable.
Dude,
Was your health educated?
Oh, dude. They were so attractive.
I do remember that fondly.
Anyway, I remember them telling us, when you have sex with someone, it's like having sex with everyone they've had sex with.
I totally forgot about that.
Dude,
you just blew my mind.
It's totally like, right, dude? Okay, and so then when you put a condom in there, dude, that's like your first line of defense. Okay?
Yeah, I guess I hadn't thought about it like that.
Very important, dude.
All right.
I didn't think about it like that. Do you have any condoms? Yes or
Dude,
no?
I don't carry condoms, man. Oh man, you're just like
There you go.
everywhere.
All right. Good luck.
Hey,
Have
thanks for the counsel, man.
Trevor, oh my god, when did you get here?
I'd like an hour ago.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited you're here. You know what I mean? I'm so excited.
Yeah, but we gotta talk about some things.
Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
so I was just seeking counsel from my bro,
Uh-huh.
Dylan Wild,
Nice.
and he reminded me of that fact class we took
Oh yeah.
a while ago with those
Yeah.
really attractive and knowledgeable
Yeah.
Oh, great. Anyways, so and I was thinking like, condoms?
Wait, I'm sorry. What? Okay, but I'm on the pill,
Right,
so
that's
you know.
what I said too. Think alike, great minds do.
Yeah, but what? What are you talking about?
Okay, well, it's like, just because, I want everyone to be safe in this relationship, and sometimes STDs don't even have
Wait,
symptoms.
I'm sorry. STDs? What? Are you saying I haven't?
No, I'm not.
STD?
I don't wanna do any of that relationship breaking talk here. I'm just saying, like, I care about you enough that I want to protect us both, you and me.
So, I'm sorry. Okay, so what I'm getting out of this conversation is that you think I'm disgusting
What if I
and you
had
don't
an
want to
STD?
have sex.
No. What if I had an STD and I didn't know it because there's no symptoms? And Dylan also said that like when you have sex with someone, it's like having sex with every person they've ever had sex with, which blew my mind.
Yeah, I mean, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's kind of like crazy.
I mean, yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. I totally overreacted a second ago.
Oh, that's cool.
But I mean, I think it's so cute that you can come to me and like talk about this. It's totally like we have a healthy relationship. Oh my god!
All right. So that's a negotiation role play that we do in our Promoting Health Among Teens curriculum.
Yeah.
And we do a lot of negotiation as well as refusal. And they're both critical components and kind of both sides, different sides of the same coin. So now we're going to do a refusal role play, similar scenario, a little bit different terms.
Okay. It's so crowded in here. Why don't we just go out and talk? You know?
The porch is like empty. We go there, I guess.
Yeah, but I mean, I just want to be with you and talk, and this is a great chance for us to be
blunt, but I know the only reason you're saying all these things is because you want to hook up. And I already expressed that I'm not into that right now, and this is not where our relationship is. So I just kind of want to stay here. There's no reason to leave. Besides, this party is totally the bomb. Steve's gonna bring fireworks in 11 to 20 minutes.
Are you kidding me? Fireworks? That's seriously what you're thinking about right now.
So
Okay, I've been looking for this night for so long. Why are you acting like this?
that's not where I am in this relationship, and I want to maintain it because I really, like this, but not that.
Okay, you know what? If I would have known you were gonna act like this, I wouldn't have even brought you. I mean, look at me. I could have brought anyone.
Yeah, okay, I guess you could have brought anyone, but you brought me, so I guess you're stuck with me. You want to go get some food?
I guess I really don't have a choice.
I guess you don't. How about I give you the choice of the next movie we go to? How about that? Fair
Okay,
enough?
that sounds good.
All right. Hey, Dylan, you were like doing real good 5 minutes ago. What's going on?
Ah!
Calm down.
I'm sorry.
It's cool. You safe here? Anything going on?
No.
Come on, man. Talk to me. Bros, man.
Do you want me to talk to you?
Dude, I'm open. No judgment. Just you. I'm here.
Okay. You. Straight up.
Straight up, man.
Alright, dude. My home life is shit. Okay? I go home to a freaking war zone every single day. And it is depressing, dude. It brings me down and it messes up my mood and it makes me snappy with people around me and I don't know, dude. And it's like breaking my relationship with my girlfriend and I don't know what to do.
Intimate partner violence.
Okay, so obviously, throughout the skit, I've been treating my girlfriend negatively, not to send her back of the car earlier. If you guys remember that. Just as the skit showed, or talked about, my character has stuff going on at home. Like constant stressors. And it could be like anything negative, anything stressful. In my mind, I'm like constantly in a state of heightened awareness. I'm ready to jump on people. Like, I'm like in this defensive state of mind. I'm working on the lower levels of the building blocks of my brain. I'm in survival mode right now. And this plays a big part in how I communicate with those around me, including my girlfriend. Teenage years are super stressful years to survive through. It's a time of social adjustment and maturation. Because we're still kids, but like, now we have to like take on all these responsibilities and act mature, and it's crazy. It's stressful. And we learn from adults how to react in relationships in stressful situations.
Teens are exposed to violence in many different ways. While considerable attention has been focused on community violence, a significant number of teens are exposed to domestic violence and are victims of abuse in their own home. Adolescence is a time when the hidden epidemic of dating abuse begins also. Physical, sexual, and emotional abuse by a dating partner is exceedingly common, starts early, and affects both females and males. According to a national survey of high school students, nearly 1 in 5 females, at 17%, and nearly 1 in 10 males, 9%, has experienced physical and or sexual dating violence, and that's probably underreported.
Equally disturbing is the fact that approximately 1/2 of the students who were experiencing dating abuse also reported that they were still in the relationship because they feared physical harm if they tried to get out of it. Teens need a predictable and stable environment at home, school, and in their communities. Like younger children, they need to feel safe and nurtured. Teens growing up in fear and chaos tend to spend more time in the survival brain, trying to feel okay, rather than in activities that develop their prefrontal cortex, and this explains exactly what Dylan was referring to earlier.
Teens adapt to their environment, but at a high cost. For example, because these teens spend less time thinking from the cortex, they often have trouble paying attention, sitting still, and controlling emotions. In addition, violence in any teen's life has serious long-term effects, including increased risk of involvement in teen pregnancy, risk of depression, or suicidal thoughts, and risk for using tobacco, alcohol, and or drugs. On the toolkits that we have over here that we are handing out, we're hopefully providing you with some useful tools that can help teens avoid some of these situations. And that's a wrap.
Doug's gonna finish us out.
Oh, you guys, I know, isn't that awesome? You guys do such a great job with those skits. And it's really fun, like in the back class, how they inspired the other kids to do the skits. But anyway, I'm getting off topic. So we covered a lot of information tonight. I'm sure your head is like swirling with teenage brain wisdom and information. A couple of things. The frontal lobe, which is necessary for good judgment, is not developed yet in the teenage brain. The emotional brain is working overtime. The male and female brains are not the same. Teens obviously need more sleep. I think we all need more sleep sometimes. Teens like taking risks and living on the edge, which can lead to drinking and other dubious behaviors. So it makes you wonder, like, why on earth do teens have these difficult traits to overcome? Like, you would think in the evolutionary process, perhaps natural selection or something would have usually takes care of like issues that, you know, are not functional or that are dysfunctional. So how did these traits then survive natural selection? The answer is that those troublesome traits of like angst and idiocy and haste and impulsiveness and selfishness and reckless bumbling don't really characterize adolescence. They're just what we notice the most because they sometimes bother us the most or annoy us and put our youth in danger. Previously, it was thought that the teenage brain was dysfunctional. Way back in history, there's been talk about the teenage years and how something's going on there. But, however, science is showing that instead, it is an exquisitely sensitive, highly adaptable organ, wired almost perfectly for the job of moving from the house to outside the house and starting their life. So, in scientific terms, the teenagers can be a pain in the ass. But they are quite possibly the most fully adaptive human beings around. Without them, humanity might not have so readily spread across the globe. This delayed completion, this withholding of readiness, heightens flexibility, just as we confront and enter the world as soon-to-be adults. So it can seem a bit crazy that we humans don't wise up any earlier in life, but if we smarted up sooner, we'd end up dumber, and we might not even survive at all as a species. Thanks.
So for all of us here tonight, helping our young people develop into healthy and connected adults is a mission which we're all passionate about. As mentioned in the beginning of our evening, even our federal government has produced the Positive Youth Development Framework for programs such as ours here at the Rec Room, which strives to facilitate positive programming for young people. And that's because we're not all born, most of us probably are not, with the innate sense of how to handle teenagers and how to feel comfortable around them, how to facilitate communication, and that's okay. That's a good thing. That makes us all more dynamic. As our friend Dr. Linda Chamberlain believes, we also feel that the teen years are a time for super learning, peak performance, and maximizing brain potential. It is imperative that we as youth-serving professionals provide real-life healthy risks which youth can engage. So we hope that you all grab this toolkit, and if you know somebody who would benefit from it, please take some more for them. In the meantime, we're sending you home with those, and that's going to hopefully help improve communication between you, your colleagues, and the teenagers that you work with. So now I'm going to bring the crew back up, and we're going to open up the floor for some questions. And I hope you have them.
Yeah, we've been studying this stuff a lot, so we're ready to answer questions. Anything, just hit it.
Lay it on.
Yeah.
What you got?
How much sleep does the teenage brain require?
9 1/4.
Would it more than that be considered excessive or?
No, it's fine. It should be fine.
Never?
We have difference in opinions on this, actually.
Yeah, they like to sleep.
there's no maximum.
I mean, I think there is, but.
But they do say that if you, let's see, so if you have a regular sleep pattern, sleeping in multiple hours after you normally get up tends to reset your sleep pattern, so it makes it harder 2 days later to get up again on Monday morning.
Ooh, that's me do it with voting.
Could be. So if they usually get up at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning, and then they don't get up till 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the weekends, and for several days in a row, and then they try to get up again on Monday, it just doesn't work.
However, on the toolkit, Linda recommends that you let teens sleep in on weekends. So
Not till 2 o'clock.
yeah, not till maybe the day's almost over, but yeah, some is good.
Yeah.
So I really appreciate that kids need a lot of sleep. And I also was wondering that as we talked about, we learned about the whole need for exercise, right? If you get in every morning and have that, it's impacting the brain. And I know that this is kind of a two-step question. So I'm wondering what you've learned about that in terms of the role of exercise and its relationship to the brain.
First thing in the morning.
And then the second part of the question is a very practical part is that the policy in Homer is to not exercise, is to disallow exercise for play in the morning, whereas nationally there's brain research that supports that activity. So I'm wondering, the question is there a way that faculty and this community could kind of merge those different issues?
So you're talking about the school system.
Yeah, is that where the policy you're referring to?
Yeah.
The policy specifically at the high school. It's not the school system.
What is the policy?
Specifically, the principal disallows energy exercise.
Early practice.
Oh, at the sport.
Early practice. No early practice.
I know they encourage brain early because the jazz band meets at like
Jazz
7
band
a.m.
is
Brain
7:30 in the
exercise.
morning.
If you're in a sport,
Yeah.
But early practice is not.
So is the reason behind that the kids get too hyper and can't concentrate afterwards? Is that what they're saying, or what is
I
it?
don't know. I don't know what the rationale is. I'm just wondering, because we're talking about brain stuff, if there's a way that the brain folks could support that activity.
Yeah, I personally haven't, and I don't think we.
He's early morning running.
Yeah.
I didn't know
I
about
don't
that in
think,
school.
I'm pretty sure that the reason they stopped morning practice was because of contribution and drive. I guess that's what happened with soccer or girls soccer.
It's a logistic reason.
Yeah, because the underclassmen can drive themselves.
The other part of it is that Dr. G told me, because I ran early morning practices last spring for the boys soccer, especially for the juniors and seniors. So driving wasn't a big deal, but he told me the kids were falling asleep in class. So my question is, can I run a practice, a training session at 6:30 in the morning? Can I get my kids to go to bed at 8:30? That's what I want to know.
Probably not.
Nobody gonna do it?
I think their brain chemicals would sit well with that.
just have nap time or something. Right after early morning practice.
Well, and
then
like for
we'd
swing choir.
maximize that brain
For swing choir, their voices aren't even awake yet. Can go and practice in swing choir. You know, and that starts at 7:30 every morning.
Well, the bass range is actually more active during the beginning and end parts of the day.
Yeah, right, exactly. That's what I'm getting at.
So that's not true. Sorry.
So basically, if they started that early, teens really like to stay up late, and they end up like staying up later and later because of things going on. So it would be really difficult, I think, for them to start practice really early. But exercise in the morning helps your cerebral spinal fluid start to move, and it does help you start to think better and stuff. But really early, I think, yeah, that's tough stuff. Did you have a question?
Did you learn anything about the effects of computer screens on sleep patterns if you're even just looking at text, iPhones or computers before you go to bed? Did that come up?
Not like specifically through this, but as far as I know, that's widely regarded as inhibitive to sleep.
Yeah,
Especially.
it's like when I did wrestling, the wrestling coach was always like, turn off your screens an hour before you go to bed because that's how long it takes for your brain and your eyes to start settling down so that you can fall asleep.
But it wasn't brought up with Dr. Chamberlain's stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it is a really big contributing factor to sleep, and like how it affects how you're able to fall asleep. Because there's like weird like scientific stuff that messes with your eyes and your circadian rhythms and all that good stuff. So it is like a really big problem. And like I personally fall asleep with my phone like next to my head.
Yeah, I know.
It's like I don't know. It's not good. It doesn't help me sleep. So it does affect our sleep.
Kate, I think Kate's first.
Well, I just want to say thank you for doing this. It's like, for the kids to hear it from you guys, it's like, I mean, you gotta know you have a lot of power. It's like, that's really great information. And, my question is, what age are they getting this at? Like, where, do you go to the high school? Do you go?
It's an out-of-school program, program.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but like age range, like we welcome anyone from 13 years old to 18 years old.
Oh,
19 class.
19 sometimes.
Yeah. But yeah, we just recruit a lot because we can't actually like teach in the middle school or the high school.
Okay.
Actually, the curriculum right now, we are the evaluation team. It's only being evaluated with peer education here in Alaska. It's used throughout the country, but not with peer education. So in 2015, we will know for sure if this is effective, and then we will go from there. Make alterations or not.
And that's the reason for the control groups that you guys.
That's the reason for control group. We split the volunteer participants in half and half go, and it's evaluated by UAA ICER right now. So. But
it
it's
makes it way
necessary.
harder, but it's going to be awesome when we prove that peer-to-peer education is the most effective way.
We know that works, but it's just, with the curriculum, and if that's the right curriculum for peer education, we'll find out. But that way we know it's not just our values, that we're sharing, it's all scientifically backed. Margie, do you have a question?
Mine's the same. I just think it's difficult for the kids to feel comfortable to come to these. Some teens.
We struggle too.
And
We struggle to get
It
them.
would be sweet if it was forced, because it's so inspiring.
We feel that way too. we are able to work at Flex, like we mentioned, because it's an alternative
Yeah,
school,
that's
and
cool.
it's such an easy, good setup because the staff really promotes it. They can hit off standards through school, so they get incentives for that. We feed them every day. It's a state grant. We feed them. We give them hoodies. They get a gift card at the end of it. So like there's loaded incentives. So we think it'd be easy to get them, but it's not. So we're really trying.
Yeah, Dylan and I did an implementation this summer, and we make
Here
it
at the
really
rec.
positive. Yeah, we had a really cool class, and we make it really open and positive and engaging, so it's not awkward. And we do a thing called a talking circle, so we make everyone feel comfortable, and they're with each other for a couple of days because it's a really consecutive amount of days because it's 12 modules, so it's kind of lengthy. But then they come in and they all know each other, and they know each other's names, and they know hobbies. And
Yeah,
it's really interactive.
At the end of the session, we're basically just like friends hanging out.
Talking
It's
about
just the
sex.
first day that's a little hard.
It's been incredible positive feedback, especially working with Alaska Native youth. We did a lot of cultural competency training with Donna, and we just prepared ourselves going to Port Graham, thinking maybe there'd be a little more shyness, but these guys they were so stoked to have teens come to their village, and then they played basketball with them, and everybody got acquainted, and then there was just no boundary lines. It was
And I was going to say, even with Youth on Record too, just recently developing, we've been trying to, for the future, since I have a large population of kids from Flex that come to Youth on Record. So one thing we've just been studying dream about is having the FAT program actually maybe have a space at the beginning of the Youth on Record program, since it is a platform that's already being used. And it is effective in that sense. So the idea of how else can we get that out there, even though it's outside of their grant or what they're supposed to do in a sense, I guess.
Any more questions?
I wanted to ask about music. I remember when I was in high school, I would try to keep something on all night, the radio or those record players or whatever. I'd stack them up, and I soon realized that I don't sleep as well, so I quit doing it at some point. But I noticed that my son, he goes to sleep with music, and I'm wondering, doesn't that interfere with the ability to get that sleep that you need?
I think that's different for everyone. I don't know the brain stuff to it, but for me, I can't fall asleep without my headphones.
That's what he says.
So I feel like it's different for everyone.
Well, I don't know. There was a study done on multitasking and the issue of music was brought up, and what they found was because it was so it's passive activity, like it could be done, like you could do other things on top of it. I don't know about sleeping, it's completely different than multitasking, but
As far as I know, I did a lot of sleep stuff because I was really into lucid dreams and stuff. So, you know, you probably know that like your brain goes through theta, that's like the dream state, and then in delta, and that's like the real like, you know, slow vibrations that your brain goes into, and that's really deep sleep. So I would suggest that, I don't know the exact evidence or anything behind it, but to go into deep, deep sleep, I think for some people, I think it would be a problem to have other external like noises coming into them, for sure. But I think everyone's different, so some people can do it and some people can't, probably.
Well, this idea of male-female brains is just fascinating. So if I got this right, female brains develop cortex, the brain cells, faster, and then the male brains develop the myelin faster, the connections.
I think the connections are made faster with female brains.
Connections.
Yeah.
So are they actually wrapping the myelin faster in males? Do you know what I mean?
Solid Linda question.
Yeah.
If you read Dan Coyle's book, which I'm forgetting the name of, Talent Code, he talks about how learning, the way you learn is you put more and more myelin around those and they're not the neurons, yeah. And so, I mean, that's kind of curious. I mean, does that mean that guys learn faster, or they learn better? But then if you don't have the gray matter, you can't. There's something to connect to.
There's a different part of the brain that's engaged. So the different. One of the things that Linda came out with is she had this. It looked like an exploded spider web of things with neurons, and she said by the end of the teenage years, half of them, a third of them, had been pruned out because of what repetitive action, you learn different things. So the female neurons were, whatever it was you said, they come from the one section of the brain, and the male neurons concentrate on the other section. So they're hardwiring things from a different direction. Like the women do the social stuff and the multitasking, and men can't wash dishes and talk on the phone at the same time. But they're really good at sports, and yes. What was that?
It can't wash dishes. Doesn't change it.
I don't know.
It's
my brain is a female brain.
But Linda, if you ever get a chance to see Linda in action, I would highly recommend it. Every time she comes to town, she's a very, I know, but when she comes to town to speak, not just to live,
So,
she's worth seeing. Yeah.
so role playing is obviously a skill, and this group of kids is getting better and better every time I see them. You know, they're like sort of like leapfrogging. You know, so when you engage with your peers in different settings, how easy is it for you to get them to engage in role playing? I mean, do they just fall right into it, or are they used to it, or is this new stuff?
Sometimes it's in our curriculum it's hard to get kids to come up and participate, so we always ask for volunteers. And we find that no matter what, even if they're not up here like acting out, even if they're not like fully like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting, they're still sitting there and they're absorbing the information that even some of the more outgoing kids maybe are presenting. And so no matter what, they're absorbing it, but we always encourage. And usually, because we do role playing at the end of the curriculum, so by that time
they all have a chance.
We're all familiar and we've all been participating, so we usually have a pretty good outcome of participants wanting to participate.
And everyone kind of wants to participate.
Yeah.
I mean, by
At
the end of the curriculum, everyone has to do a role play, but they definitely are totally down to do a role play. They're not. I mean, it's not like I don't know.
And we have a wide selection, so we go through different ones so they can kind of read them over and choose ones that they want to do. Or they can come up with their own.
Yeah. And we're training them throughout it, so we'll start at the beginning of the curriculum with us doing role plays, and then we'll give them sheets for them to read through the role plays and then react to them, just write it down, and then we end up starting to do it, and it kind of like just gradually builds a little bit by the end of the curriculum when they're all doing their own role play.
Yeah. And even if they're not comfortable with it, it's just the effective skill there is that the question is being posed in their brains, and they're internalizing and coming up. They're putting themselves in that situation and thinking, what would I do? And even if they're like, they're thinking, and that's what counts.
Yep.
That's what it's for.
Did you write your skits tonight?
Yeah, we came up with the whole scenario.
Okay.
And they were really good, even spur of the moment, first time run throughs.
That was the best run through.
Yeah.
They changed it every time.
We improv every time.
And when do I hit the tambourine? What are you gonna say?
They practiced a lot. They really worked hard. And it's really been fun working with you guys in Honor, actually.
Oh, you're so
Thank
thank
you
you.
guys.
Thank you guys.
And thank you guys all for coming. That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.